I was 23 when I learned that silence could feel louder than any argument. That evening, our house was full, voices overlapping, plates clinking, laughter spilling from room to room. It was one of those family gatherings that looked warm from the outside but felt exhausting if you stayed long enough. I smiled when expected, nodded when spoken to, and waited patiently for the moment when everyone would finally leave. By the time the front door closed behind the last guest, the house felt unfamiliar. The air changed, the warmth drained, replaced by something heavier, something honest. I stood near the hallway, listening to the echo of footsteps fade, realizing there were only two of us left. Me and my stepbrother. We had lived under the same roof for years, yet somehow remained distant, like two people sharing space but not understanding each other. There was no hostility between us, no dramatic fights. Just a quiet tension that had grown over time, fed by misunderstandings and unspoken thoughts. I could hear him in the living room, moving slowly, as if he too was aware of the shift. We didn't look at each other at first. We didn't need to. The silence said enough. I leaned against the wall, replaying moments from the past, small arguments that were never resolved, conversations that ended too soon, feelings I never fully understood. I often wondered how things became so awkward between us. We were family, after all. Or at least, we were supposed to feel like it. That night, I felt something different. Not fear, not anger. Just a quiet realization that avoiding the truth had only made things heavier. We had both been waiting not for everyone to leave physically, but for the right moment to finally face what had been left unsaid. And now, that moment was here. I stayed where I was, listening to the faint sounds of the house settling, wood creaking, the clock ticking, the refrigerator humming softly. Every noise felt amplified. Waiting in silence had become something we were both good at. I thought back to when our parents married. Back then, everything felt forced, new routines, shared spaces, expectations of instant bonding. I tried. I really did. But every time I reached out, something felt off. Like my words never landed the way I intended. Over the years, silence replaced effort. We became polite strangers. No arguments, no warmth. Just distance. That distance confused me more than open conflict ever could. I wondered if he felt the same weight I did. If he too replayed old moments in his mind, asking himself where things shifted. Waiting like this felt uncomfortable, but it also felt necessary. Finally, I heard him sit down across the room. He didn't rush the moment. Neither did I. The waiting wasn't about hesitation anymore, it was about readiness. I realized something then. Sometimes we wait not because we're afraid, but because we want to get it right. I took a breath, steadying myself. This wasn't about blaming anyone. It wasn't about reopening old wounds. It was about clarity, about understanding. The silence stretched, but it didn't feel empty anymore. It felt expectant. When he finally spoke, his voice was calm. No tension, no accusation. I think we've both been carrying things we never talked about, he said. I nodded, even though he couldn't see me clearly. Hearing the words out loud made my chest feel lighter already. We talked slowly, carefully. About moments that felt awkward. About assumptions we both made. About how silence turned small misunderstandings into walls. I admitted that I often thought I had done something wrong. That I felt judged without knowing why. He admitted he felt the same, that he didn't know how to communicate without making things worse. There was no dramatic revelation. No raised voices. Just honesty. For the first time, I saw him not as someone distant, but as someone equally unsure, equally human. We realized how much time we had lost by waiting for the right moment, instead of creating one. That conversation didn't magically fix everything, but it softened something inside me. It reminded me that clarity is kinder than silence, and that assumptions can quietly damage relationships if left unchecked. Later that night, after we went our separate ways, I sat alone in my room, thinking about how different I felt. Lighter, calmer. Nothing dramatic had happened. No big scene. Just a conversation long overdue. I realized that waiting isn't always about avoidance. Sometimes, it's about growth. About learning when to speak and when to listen. That night taught me something important. Unresolved silence can shape our emotions more than we realize. And facing it even gently can change everything. My stepbrother and I didn't become close overnight. But we became honest. And that was enough. When everyone left the house, what remained wasn't tension anymore. It was understanding. And sometimes, that's the most powerful ending of all.